Why did that comment bother you so much? Why did being ignored ruin your entire day? Why does criticism feel like rejection? Why do some people instantly drain your energy? Energy vampires. While others make you feel safe. Let me tell you something. Most triggers aren't actually what's happening right now. It's something deeper. A trigger is basically an old wound that's responding to a new situation. And if we learn how to respond instead of react, I'm telling you, our triggers could be some of the greatest teachers ever.
Dude, it is a vibe here, man. It's a total vibe.
Check your energy first. Hey everyone, I'm Maya Lee. I am a certified spiritual life coach and I am an early childhood director/educator. And welcome back to the Before the Programming series. As someone who gets to work with children on a daily basis, I constantly watch emotional patterns develop in real time. It is the coolest thing. I'm not gonna say watching them have tantrums is cool. Like, let's be real, right? But I like watching how they process their emotions. And I think what fascinates me the most is that children don't just remember experiences with their minds. They remember them with their bodies. They remember them emotionally and energetically. And many of those experiences that we have in childhood follow us for a very long time into adulthood. So in episode 1, it was all about how children naturally tune into energy and frequencies. In episode 2, we explored how as adults, we have a tendency to suppress our emotions and who we are in order to be accepted, validated, and to fit in. So today's episode is all about triggers. Is that how I do that? Is that what that picture? Let me stop. They're so sensitive right now about guns and stuff. Let me stop. Get canceled. And look, let me tell you, before you click away, triggers aren't a bad thing, okay? They're not. I want to suggest something different to you in regards to triggers. Maybe your trigger isn't your enemy. Maybe it is your invitation to heal. Hear me out. Okay, I know what you're thinking. How? What type of perspective is that, right? Well, most people think that triggers are simply weaknesses, right? But I don't look at it that way. I look at triggers as like messengers, like little signals or smoke signals, letting us know, alerting us of when something needs attention, like when a particular emotion needs attention. Okay, for example, when someone criticizes you and immediately you feel shame. Someone is in and out of your life, right? And when they leave, you feel abandoned. Or when someone raises their voice and your nervous system freaks out. The reaction, your reaction, our reactions always seem to be bigger than the actual moment itself. Why? Because the present situation touched on something that's unresolved from the past. It goes much deeper than this surface level, whatever we're dealing with at the moment, okay? So the trigger isn't actually the wound. The trigger reveals the wound. In early childhood, trust me, I see it play out every single day. Children will show us the way. So one thing I love about children is their honesty. Let's just be real. Children are brutally honest. If you want to know something about anything, ask a child. I promise you, they will tell you the real. They're like, F your feelings. They don't care about how you feel. They don't care about how they answer your question. They will get to the root of whatever you're asking them, and they will give it to you, regardless of your feelings. F your feelings. One thing about them, like I said, I love their honesty. If a child is sad, they're sad. If they're excited, they're excited. If they are frustrated, trust me, everyone knows when they're frustrated.
Surrender now or face my tantrum.
And the thing is, there isn't much emotional hiding. They will not hide how they feel. As adults, though, adults. Adults. We've learned to disguise our feelings. Yeah, we smile. But deep down inside, we're hurting. We're running around, we're doing all this stuff. We're acting like we're fine, but in all actuality, we are exhausted. Yeah, we're exhausted. We suppress emotions just to feel stronger. But let me tell you something. Suppressed emotions do not disappear. No, they don't go anywhere. A lot of times, they're stored in our bodies somewhere. And then whenever something happens, when a trigger happens, the only thing that needs to happen is life need to be lifing. When life, and it touch it, that's it, trigger.
The audacity.
Boom, that's the emotion. That's the stored emotion. You thought you suppressed it and then got rid of it or hid it away, but here it comes. Here it comes, bubbling up as a trigger. Here we are. The triggers happen, but it's not because you're broken. It has nothing to do with you being broken. It's only because your mind, body, and spirit has been asking for attention. There's something within you that needs to be addressed. And this is where I think a lot of people misunderstand healing, because healing isn't about never getting triggered. Sometimes people assume that just because you're spiritual or you engage in spirituality that you become emotionally unaffected. That is not true. Not true at all. We see this all throughout scripture. Jesus exhibited a healthy display of emotions in the Bible. Jesus felt deeply. He experienced grief. He experienced compassion and frustration and sorrow and joy. In the book of John 11:35, the shortest scripture in the Bible, Jesus wept. And even though it's the shortest scripture in the Bible, it is the most profound scripture in the Bible, because what it does is exhibits the level of emotional maturity and the ability to process the emotions. It reminds us that emotional awareness isn't weakness. There's nothing wrong with having emotions. It's a part of being human. It's part of us. The goal isn't to suppress your emotions. The goal is to master your emotions, to have emotional wisdom. It's not to pretend that nothing affects you, because we all know everything affects us in some way, shape, or form. But the goal is to learn how to respond rather than react. There's a scripture that came to mind and is in the book of Galatians 22 and 23. And it talks about the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Notice, self-control isn't emotional denial. It's emotional stewardship. Say it with me. Emotional stewardship. Yes. So, what do we do when we get triggered? All right, so here's the dealie. This is what I want you to do the next time you feel triggered. Number one, Pause. Pause. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? I want you to try asking, what is this moment trying to teach me? I want to find something that maybe rejection, right? Maybe rejection is revealing an old wound around belonging, right? Or maybe criticism. Now, and I want to say, I understand some people criticize, but a lot of times there is such a thing as healthy critiques. You have to be able to discern the difference between a healthy critique, and criticism. But either way, whenever you experience that, let's say you're triggered by that, right? Maybe it's touching a fear of inadequacy within you. Maybe abandonment, like ghosting. Gotta take a moment and breathe for this one. I get triggered with ghosting. Ghosting is a trigger for me. I don't even like saying a word. It's something in me that tingles when I say the word ghosting. Oh my God. That's a trigger for me, and that's something that I am actively working on as we speak, right? Let me explain something. I'm gonna just go a little off topic, right? Ghosting for me, like if I'm in the middle of a hella good conversation with you, or I'm thinking that this seems to be going in a beautiful and amazing place or whatever, and then all of a sudden you just disappear on me, and then I don't hear from you for months. I don't mind weeks. I understand people get busy, but I'm talking about a ghosting situation where I've said something or asked a question and I'm kind of waiting on a response and I just never hear from you. Oh, that triggers me. So back to our regular schedule program. Maybe it's abandonment, right? That's what it's considered. Ghosting is like abandonment, okay? So abandonment is uncovering an unmet emotional need in your life. Instead of fighting the trigger, like get curious about it. Like really dissect it. Trust me, I worked extra hard trying to dissect and be extra curious about why certain things trigger me. Like if somebody throws shade about something, like like in my position, I'm a leader, right? And I get triggered if I tell somebody to do something and then they automatically go against what I said. But, knowing that what I'm doing is for the betterment of the facility and everybody involved. And if I say it, I get shade. But if the higher up person says it, then it's okay, and it just kind of irks me. I get a little triggered with certain things. So I had to really dissect that and have an understanding of why I got so triggered by that. There was really no reason. There's really no rhyme or reason for me to get triggered, because at the end of the day, it really has nothing to do with me and everything to do with the person, and the person and how the person feels about me putting them in a position. Like if I move somebody in a position of authority that they may be unfamiliar with, well, why am I getting triggered? Because I had to dissect and learn and understand that it's not for me to get triggered by, because I'm in charge and I'm telling you what needs to be done in a very respectful manner, and that's what the expectation is. And even though it's being carried out and the person is going to do what I'm saying and they throw in shade, well, I really shouldn't even be affected by it, really, because what I did to kind of change it up, I went and talked to the person and I found out that there was a fear of inadequacy in that person. So it wasn't me the whole time, it was the other person. But had I not actually looked into that and checked out that trigger, like, why did that trigger me? Because I had to step away. I stepped away, and then I went and I assessed how I handled the situation. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to go speak with her. And then I went back and had a conversation. And when I tell you, beautiful, it was perfection, you know? So moving forward, like, I know now, okay, well, before I react to that, something like that, you know, I'll just be calm, cool, and collected, say what I need to say, do what I need to do, and then we'll revisit it whenever like everything has kind of like cooled off a little bit, you know? I'm sharing my story and I'm sharing these personal things with you because I want you to get curious about why you're being triggered. Like, really just pause and take a minute and really dissect, okay, why did that trigger me the way that it did? Why did I react in this way? Because what it does, what the curiosity does, it encourages and creates healing. You know, when you put yourself in a space, in a place of judging yourself, you never want to do that, because judgment creates shame. And that's one of the things that will keep you from the presence of God, that will keep you bound and kept away from a relationship with God, and that's guilt, fear, and shame. So never harshly judge yourself for reacting and having a trigger. It's just being able to be curious about it, because shame will keep your wounds hidden. But being curious and dissecting and learning about it, they will pull it out in order for them to heal. That's the goal. And eventually you'll notice that something beautiful starts happening with this whole process. So the more you heal, the less reactive you become. It's not because life stops happening. It's mainly because old wounds stop controlling the conversations. You don't allow the old wounds and the triggers to become your identity. It's information instead of identity. These are signals for you. And every time you respond with awareness instead of reaction, you actually reclaim a piece of yourself that you thought was once lost. That's healing. That's real healing. That's growth. That is alignment. It's ultimately returning to your original frequency. So this week, I want to challenge you. We have a challenge, okay? And of course, obviously, it's your journal prompt of the week. This is something that you can reflect on. I would very much love for you guys to share. So the next time something triggers you, don't immediately judge yourself. I want you to pause. I want you to listen and ask your mind, body, and spirit, what is it that you are trying to tell me right now? What is it that you're trying to communicate to me? Because sometimes the reaction isn't pointing toward what's wrong with you. It's pointing toward the parts of yourself that still need love. So if this message resonated with you, please leave a comment down below. I want to know, like, tell me, what's one trigger that you've learned something valuable from? Ooh, that's a good one. What's one trigger that you've learned something valuable from? Trust me, I have a bunch. I have a bunch. And next week, we're going to be talking about something huge. Okay. It's what this entire series is about, and it is how to connect with your inner child and begin to rebuild trust with yourself again. I am so excited for it. And as always, I love you guys. You guys have a blessed and productive rest of the week. And remember, stay in your vibe. I love y'all. Bye.